producers who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing. This is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Well, hello. I'm Ben Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder. I'm here with James St. James.
Goodness, on death's doorstep.
I know, right? Hope you make it through the show. And very ultra special guest, Bianca Del Rio.
Oh, my goodness. Welcome, honey.
Hi. Oh, you sound really sad.
I know. It gives me sort of a sexy scratch, though, like sort of a Lauren Bacall thing.
Did someone tell you that?
No, I've been telling myself that all week.
Do you remember those cheap Sanka? Was it Sanka or one of those coffee commercials she used to do in the 70s?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah. You'd have to reference it. I'm not really that old, but it is on YouTube.
So what we're doing here is we're counting down the top 10 things this week that made us go,
Wow.
And of course, since we have you here, Bianca, you're number 10.
Number 10.
I'm number 10. I'm
Yes.
excited.
And it says here, Bianca Films.
Yes. Well, actually, last year, actually not last year, about 2 years ago, I don't know if you know, I was able to do this film called Hurricane Bianca that my dear friend Matt Kugelman wrote and directed. And we did crowdfunding prior to Drag Race, raised enough money. And then after Drag Race, we did another crowdfunding just because we were greedy. And we were able to make the film, and it was done successfully. They made enough money, and they decided to do a sequel.
It was a cult hit.
It's
it went
huge
well.
hit on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
It's always trending every time I turn it on.
Oh, look at you. I didn't think you paid your cable bill. But yeah, what's great about it now is we filmed the sequel. We wrapped it in October, and it's due to come out this summer. We're quite excited about it. And we also got some added talent to it. Aside from Rachel Dratch, who was in it before, and Shangela, who was in it before, we also got a lot of other Drag Race alumni. We got Darian Lake. We got Kasha Davis. We also had Katya, who plays a huge part.
Fun.
She plays my love interest. But we also got some great cameos from
In drag?
In drag. Well, she plays in drag and out of drag because we fell in love at a science fair in Russia. Yeah. Use your
As
imagination.
one does, yes.
Use your imagination. But we also got some great cameos from Wanda Sykes and
my
from
God.
Cheyenne Jackson and our fabulous. Who was my favorite that I
I
loved?
love Cheyenne. Oh, my God, he
my
is so handsome.
Well, you
so
know what
wonderful.
they always say is that the only reason why to kick him out of bed is to fuck him on the floor. I mean, he is a pretty man.
He is a beautiful soul.
Oh, you have
yes.
to say that. Yeah, that
No,
too.
but he is really so sweet. Every time I've ever met him, I've just melted.
No, the best. Yeah. I met him pre-Drag Race at some shitty auction, and we sat next to one another, and he couldn't have been the sweetest, nicest guy in the world. Yeah.
Now, does the sequel carry on with the story? Is it a whole different story? Like,
No, we pick up where we left off because in the last movie, Rachel Dratch was molesting the high school students, so she's in jail, and while she's in jail, she's plotting and planning the revenge on Bianca Del Rio, which is how I end up in Russia, and comedy ensues.
and are you really in Russia?
Not necessarily. It was Brooklyn, but I wore a fur hat, so it makes it seem. Yeah. It makes it seem like it's Russia. We were on a budget, so the Kremlin might be green screen, but it was quite a good time.
And when does it premiere, and where does it come out, and where can people watch it?
Well, they're all being very secretive with me because you're dealing with 10,000 people that run the movie business. But it's all due out this summer. In a month, they're going to announce the platform of how it's going to be presented to the world. But it will be out by June, so we're excited about that.
Well, that's very fun.
Yeah, it is. You can't complain, And the great thing about it this time was that we had other people work with Matt Kugelman to write it, and a lot of the scenes I get to do are with Rachel Dratch, who is probably the best, the kindest. Have you ever met Rachel?
I have not.
She is truly like one of the kindest, nicest, funniest people you're ever going to meet.
And tell me about Wanda. Did you have any scenes with Wanda, or did you?
I don't have a specific scene with Wanda, but the great thing about Wanda is that I've known Wanda for at least 10 years from Fire Island.
Sure.
Every summer I would go out there. She's got a house out there. And what's always awkward when you're friends with people, you never want to mention work. So we were out there drinking one night, and the next day she came up. She's like, "Girl, did y'all people send me a movie?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You ain't gonna say nothing about it, motherfucker."
You've been
and I was
hanging
like,
out with her, and you didn't.
Well, we always do, but I
Sure.
was like, I didn't want to mention it if you didn't want to do it. I didn't want to feel obligated. She goes, "I'm totally up for it." And so she flew to New York, and she did her scene. I mean, couldn't have been nicer.
That is fabulous.
And that's one funny bitch. I mean,
Yes.
she is funny as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but she's been a dear, I wouldn't want to say a dear friend, but like a great lady that I've known in Fire Island for 10 years. Always said hello, always came to my show, always very supportive, and she's the best, especially after a couple of drinks. She's hysterical. Yeah, she's always complaining that people are interrupting her, and then on nights when she's drinking, when nobody interrupts her, she goes, "Don't these motherfuckers know who I am?" Yeah, Wanda, but you yelled at him yesterday. But she's absolutely fabulous. So we're quite excited.
Is there going to be a sequel, a threequel?
There is. They're already working
my
on the third
God,
one where
oh
I
my
end up in
God.
Africa. Yeah, it's a long story. It's a little more complicated.
It's like the old Bob Hope and where they go around the country.
Yeah,
go around
the
the world.
USO tour?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
any of his movies. Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Okay, so that's coming soon in the
Yes.
summer.
In the summer, yeah. And in a month, they'll announce everything.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, number 9.
Number 9.
James, you have a movie too.
I have a movie too. My movie freak show finally came out. It came out over the last weekend. There was a big premiere in New York City. I went to that. It was the most fabulous premiere I've ever been to in my entire life.
Are you in it?
It's
about you.
It's about me, yes.
Yes.
And Trudy Styler, who is the director,
Yes.
Sting's wife.
Yes.
She really pulled out all the stops. When I got the invitation, it said hosted by Robert De Niro, Hugh Jackman,
Oh.
Ron Perlman, and Sting. Please come. There
You're
will be
like-
special guests performing, and that special guest was John Cameron Mitchell, who did Hedwig, and a girl named Lena Hall, who is absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic,
Star
unbelievable.
studded.
Yeah.
I walked into the theater, and they were very nice. They allowed me to invite everybody that I've ever met in my entire life.
Two
who
people.
was able to come. No, but it was like Michael Musto and Suzanne and Amanda and Lady Bunny, and I was able to get all the old New York crowd there and everything. And then as they're walking in, Trudy's friends are walking in. It's truly like a meeting of like a culture clash. All of a sudden, I saw Martha Stewart walk towards me, and then she saw Amanda Lepore, and her mouth dropped open.
Oh, my
She
God.
circled around Amanda Lepore twice,
Fascinated.
with her eyes wide, staring like she'd never seen anything like it. Amanda's sitting there preening and ooh,
Yeah, that's all she does, yeah.
And at one point I said, Amanda, did you just notice who's watching you? And she was like, no,
Of
she
course
had
not.
no clue whatsoever. Like John McEnroe came with his wife Patty Smythe. Do you remember Patty
Yes,
Smythe?
I didn't know they were married.
They were married, and it was
John
like this
McEnroe.
whole '80s moment. There was like Donna Karen came with Ariana Huffington.
My
It was
God.
Sandra Lee was there. Padma Lakshmi came over to me and was just as sweet as could be. Just sat down and just chattered for like 10 minutes.
You're fancy now.
It was
I
very
mean,
fancy.
And you got a standing O, right?
Yes, yeah. It
Oh,
was.
This is
This is the weird thing though, because
Yeah.
it was a New York audience,
Okay.
right? I have seen it with, I saw it in San Francisco, I saw it in LA, I saw it in a bunch of places, and everybody's hooting and hollering and standing and yelling, and everyone's
Yeah.
fabulous. It's like, I come, and this is a stone-faced crowd.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
I thought it would be a home crowd.
I thought so too. I thought it would be a hometown crowd too, but it was a hard crowd to get in. The first 10 minutes, not a laugh. And
Oh, no.
There's and I was like thinking, oh God, it's bombing.
Yeah.
I had to leave and go sit at the bar because I was so upset.
You said you went and threw up.
I was because I was sick, and so I had a drink and threw up, and had a drink and threw up.
Oh, that's what I usually do.
You know,
too.
it's
you know how it
maintenance.
is. Yeah, people say drink water in between, but the throw up is better. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a little authentic detail.
But
there.
apparently, afterwards,
Method.
everyone said that after about 20 minutes, that the crowd loosened up and everyone was laughing, and it was really good, and there was standing ovation afterwards. Blah 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 blah.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, so it was very exciting, and it's on video on demand now. And then there's an LA thing here, and it's Santa Monica, and then it opens in 17 cities, and then it goes to IFC, and then it goes to Netflix.
Question is, when are you going to write another book?
Well, God, wouldn't that be the answer?
Well,
Wouldn't that just be the thing?
You've written
wow.
2 books, and they've both been made into movies.
It's
I
true,
mean,
it's
come on,
true.
2 for 2. That's
That's
pretty
good.
But
you know?
the actuality is that I've written 5 books and only 2 of them have gotten published. So
Oh,
it is
wow.
it's a little disordered.
Time to go to that drawer under your bed and pull out the old
pull out
message.
something.
Put a new cover on it. That's all that
exactly.
works.
Well,
yeah.
but my agent did go missing, and
Did he come?
Wait.
no, he didn't.
Missing.
Yeah, I had an agent who was a really nice guy, but he was into some real sketchy, like some sort of underground.
Are you
Are you,
serious?
are
yeah,
you
he was.
joking?
He was into
That's a book in itself.
he was into this dungeon scene,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden he just disappeared out of the blue.
No,
and
like stop calling you or like dead.
Well, nobody
Nobody knows.
None of his clients have heard from him in 2 years. The people he used to
that's
work
a
for.
James,
Well-
this is a true crime series
Well,
coming
but
to
the-
Netflix.
I love forensic files.
I mean, he's either dead or he's being chained in a dungeon somewhere, and he might buy it. He might be a
You
sex
have to
slave.
investigate.
It's very
this
upsetting.
is genius.
I know it's very worrisome. And his other clients are Janice Dickinson and
nothing's
well,
going on with her career, so he must be
no,
dead.
but I mean, he was very close with her. And I've asked Janice, I've asked a lot, and everyone says no. He just dropped off the face of
That's
the earth.
odd.
Well,
Odd.
if he's listening, because
Sir.
I'm sure.
They listen
In the dungeon.
Yeah, to Andy Ray.
This is
Radio
torture.
Andy in the dungeon.
The torture is listening to us. Hope you're alive, dude.
That is a horrifying story. But meanwhile, Freak Show open now. Check your local listings.
Video on demand, yes.
Video on
And-
demand.
yeah,
Demand.
uh-huh.
Okay.
I can't wait to see it.
It's really fabulous.
All right. So number 8,
Number 8.
James, you normally pick Netflix shows, and this week I'm picking a Netflix show. It's Wormwood, which is Earl Morris's
Yeah,
new
I know Wormwood.
documentary
It's a
series.
drag queen in Indiana, isn't it?
It is.
Wormwood.
It is the MK Ultra story.
What does that mean?
I know nothing.
Okay, so
Enlighten
basically,
me.
this is in a nutshell. MK Ultra was a CIA project that began in the Korean War to explore the use of drugs like LSD as truth serums.
Sure,
As
okay.
well as botulism and anthrax. So they wanted to
Botulism
to
as
assassinate
truth
the-
serum?
Yes, they wanted to. No, LSD was the truth serum.
I was
It's
gonna
more
say.
denial.
They wanted to control people's minds, and I guess if they couldn't do that, they just wanted to kill them off.
Okay.
So this doctor, Frank Olson, he was a sort of biological warfare scientist. He was also, though, in the CIA. And what they were doing in the 50s is they were giving each other LSD. Just
Okay.
completely, they wouldn't know they were being given LSD. And, of course, some people got the LSD and never really came back.
Oh.
Wait,
And-
that's that
is a
urban
true story, by the
legend
way.
that you always used to hear about people who were in the when you were in the 80s, and they'd say, and she's still been tripping for 20 years. and
Yeah,
she's
is that possible?
Is that possible?
I don't know. I mean,
Is there
you're
somebody
asking
from
wrong-
the 1950s still
but Frank
tripping?
Olson-
Well, but Lady Bunny.
But here's what happened. This scientist, right? So he took the LSD and he was kind of unhinged by the whole thing and decided that he wanted out. He was like really freaked out by what the CIA was doing. And in fact, it's sort of rumored that he saw some experiments on humans in Berlin, which wasn't a good thing because after
Well,
the
it never
war, they were
is.
like, we don't do that sort of thing. America wasn't doing what the Nazis were doing.
Right.
And he kind of wanted out, but they couldn't let him out, you see.
Okay.
So they took him to New York and they took him to a shrink. And then they took him to a magician.
Oh, that's always second.
Yeah.
And both of them, of course, were being paid by the CIA.
Yeah.
The magicians are being
then-
paid by the CIA. You knew it.
David
so
Copperfield
crazy.
owns
The
islands.
CIA have done some weird shit. And then in the middle of the night, he leaps out of his hotel room and is
Oh,
found
see,
dead on
there's
the pavement.
another urban legend that you always
No,
hear
no,
about.
this really happened.
Is it always death?
In 1953. And his family, his 9-year-old son, has been haunted and obsessed by this ever since.
Well,
and that is what
well,
this
you would be,
series
sure.
Well,
is serious. He's
So they're
trying to
saying.
get to
So
the
basically,
truth.
the story is that drugs are bad. That is so full of shit. I
Well,
mean,
here's-
honestly,
Here's
they've
the
gotten me
thing.
through some hard times.
They wanted to make out that he was sort of psychologically unhinged and jumped out the window, but he didn't. It turns out, more than likely, that the CIA came in, knocked him on the head, and threw him out the window.
Oh.
Because this story came out in the 70s. And
Right.
the story, like, and immediately President Ford said, we've got to meet the family. And they did a whole PR effort. The CIA settled with the family for like $750,000.
Yeah.
And
Which was big money then. Yeah. I mean,
well, I
for a
mean,
body.
And so, but even then they thought they've been lying to us and they haven't revealed the whole truth. So it's this sort of fantastic shaggy dog story
Is it
of
from
this
the
son.
Is it the son's perspective?
It's the
Is it-
son's perspective, and he's
Wow.
trying to get to the bottom of what happened. It's directed by Earl Morris, who's directed these amazing documentaries like The Thin Blue Line. It's so stylish and beautifully
But how much
shot.
can you really get to the bottom of what the CIA is up to? Because there's, it's
right.
Yeah,
you know,
legally, especially after you accepted money. How much can you tell?
Exactly. They accepted the money and they agreed never to sue again.
Yeah.
But of course, if they were lied to when they accepted money, that would surely invalidate the agreement. It comes so close to proving it, they can't quite
Sure.
prove it. But it seems so obvious. A key moment was when accidentally, that's how this, they released some documents in the 90s, and one of which was an assassination manual. And the assassination manual said that the best way
Conk him on the head and knock him out the window.
That's right, exactly. A fall of 75 feet or more onto a hard surface. This act may be executed by sudden vigorous exercise of the ankles, tipping the subject over the edge.
Well, you can't do that anymore. I watch Forensic Files. Right. They'd figure that shit out. But in the 70s, they weren't, that good about figuring out death. So you can just knock somebody and throw them out the window.
They definitely got it. I mean, this was a huge program, actually, and it went on. And around about the same time as Watergate, the CIA destroyed thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of documents. So it's really almost impossible at this point to get to the real truth.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, anytime you're dealing with the CIA, there's just always going to be subterfuge under subterfuge under subterfuge.
How can we get Trump out of a window? Let's work on that.
Right?
That would be helpful, that fat fucker.
You get stuck, right?
Oh, girl. It's fascinating, though.
Yeah,
I have to check it out.
And the other thing, Eric, the son, grew up really into, he's sort of like a sort of psychological person. Yeah. And his whole method of treating people is collage. And this whole idea of therapy, like he works with trauma victims, and they make collages, and he made collages, and because this idea that you never have the truth, all you have are little scraps and bits and pieces.
Completely, so especially after a night of LSD and flying out of a window.
Right, exactly.
That's
Wormwood, streaming on Netflix. Check it out.
Did it make you want to do LSD?
Absolutely not.
Have you ever done LSD?
No,
I've never done it either.
I'm just pathetic, really.
I went through a period, where I was doing a lot of acid and LSD and mescaline and all that.
I was never into that. I mean, I was more of a pill pop and coke whore, but I couldn't.
Well, I was that too.
Yeah.
But I did find that there was a point where I was really in Club Kitty land where and you would forget the English language, and I would find myself, I would just wander in the street.
Language. What language were you speaking?
Well, I don't know. I didn't speak any language at all. But I would
Mandarin,
wander in the streets.
Sanskrit.
I call it helpful.
I remember I would just get into cars, like at the stop lights. I would just open up door and get into cars and start talking to people.
That's hooking. That's different.
That's speaking the language of love.
That's being
But
friendly.
I had a lot of adventures. I had a lot of really interesting adventures. It opened, and I was a really happy person during that time.
Well, I'm sure you were.
I'm keeping the doors of my mind snapped shut, because if I open them, I would never come back.
I'm afraid what comes out of my mouth, imagine my brain. That would be, no.
But I do remember that my makeup started getting really, interesting around when I would do LSD.
Why do you look at me when you say that?
No. But I would, be breaking mirrors and gluing little mirror shards on my face and feathers and drawing big circles. I mean, it was real hippie 60s stuff.
You were feeling the fantasy.
It was true.
Wow.
Okay, we got to take a quick break. Hey, I've got a question. Okay, so I know you both know a lot about MK Ultra, but actually, I mean, apart from Frank Olson, this guy who was pushed out of the window, there were some famous victims, and I wonder if you know who any of them were.
Of people who have been pushed
the
out of
the MK
window?
Ultra program. No, people who were given psychedelic drugs.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, so from the 70s.
60s, 70s.
Okay.
More after the break. You're listening to Wow Report on Radio Andy Sirius XM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Welcome back to the Wow Report on Radio Andy Sirius XM. So excited to be here with the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 6.
So you remember the season. Ru never remembers the season.
I had to look it up.
I was going to say, it gets blurry after a while.
Bianca Del Rio.
Blame It On Bianca.
That's me. Blame it.
And James St. James.
Oh, my God.
And Blake.
Hi, guys.
Tom Campbell is out this week.
No.
He's in Miami.
Yes.
Getting some sun. So, okay, so
She
the
needs
question
that. What's his name?
before the break was MK Ultra was this sinister CIA mind control program in the 50s and 60s. There were some other famous victims of it who
Victims.
were dosed with LSD unawares. That's what it was. It was a major sort of LSD testing
How do you get
program.
dosed with it unaware? I mean, because what
They
what-
mix it into
you
your
mix it
iced
in your
tea.
drink.
Yeah.
You mix
iced
it in
tea.
your drink.
But is LSD like a pill? I'm confused.
It
Or is
can
like
be a pill, but it
tab?
could also be a liquid.
Or
a
a tab,
liquid.
or a little vial of
GHB.
liquid, or a powder.
Okay.
You used to drop it on sugar cubes, right?
Yes.
Or
we
on
used to have,
blotting paper.
Sister Dimension used to have those marvelous parties in area, sugar cube parties, where she'd walk around with a sugar cube tray, and you'd all have your little sugar cube, and just trip your ass off. It was delightful.
Okay, famous names, because this is actually really interesting.
Well, I'm gonna have to say Cary Grant, because wasn't he always talking about doing acid in the 50s and long before everyone else?
I'd say Liza Minnelli, just for the husband choices.
I'm guessing Hunter S. Thompson just because it's easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, very close, Blake. It's Ken Kesey,
Oh.
author of One Flew Over the... He was a complete teetotaler, complete straight arrow, and he was slipped LSD by the CAA. And so, in a way, you have the
CAA, the Creative Talent Agency.
The Country Music Awards.
CIA.
CIA.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the whole counterculture
It's because of it.
is arguably because of MK Ultra.
That's fascinating.
Another guy was Robert Hunter, who was a big friend of the Grateful Dead and wrote some of their biggest songs.
Okay.
So we're saying, so basically what we're saying is that if the CIA gives you something, you can actually function in the world. It's really helpful till you fall out of a window.
And without the CIA, there would have been no 60s hippie peace and love.
And they say America doesn't give
Revolution.
you things. How sweet. What a great time.
Well, they also gave us AIDS and crack in
Well.
the 80s, so I mean, you know.
It comes
Let's
with
move
a,
on.
Comes with a price tag.
Before we get pushed out of a window. So, what do you got at number 7?
Number 7.
I watched the David Letterman thing on Netflix. Where I don't know if you know this, but David Letterman has come back. He has a new show
I'm
on
excited.
Netflix. It's once a month, and he has a long sit-down talk, in-depth interview with just one person, with one
Kind
guest.
of like Charlie Rose.
A little bit like Charlie.
Yeah, very.
But these people are not like promoting anything. I think that's what he was sort of set on. He didn't want people coming out with an agenda. He wanted people who were talkers, people he had a connection with, people who he thought that you really just wanted to hear
Like
them
an intimate
talk.
conversation.
Yes. So the first one is Barack Obama.
Wait, let's take a moment.
Well, that's just when he says Barack Obama, nobody in the audience knew who the guest was going to be.
Oh, even better.
Yeah,
that's kinda cool.
he says, and tonight my guest needs no introduction, and then he brings up Barack Obama, and just the audience just melted, and it was just like a 10-minute standing ovation.
Oh, brilliant.
And I didn't realize that I was nostalgic for David Letterman because I thought he sort of overstayed his welcome a little bit.
Yeah.
Near the end, he was a little curmudgeon and a little cranky.
Yeah.
And he'd always been cranky. But it seems that this time away has sort of mellowed him. And he is a really good just talker. And he and Barack Obama, there's no politics talking. It's just the two of them, just two friends.
How is it
talking.
possible, though, in that whole hour? It was an hour, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention, you know who.
He didn't.
Him who shall not be named.
Well,
in fact, the name never comes up. There's a lot of talk about. They do talk a little bit about his time in office, but it's a lot about just his wife and Sasha and Malia going off to college, and you know, the two of them sort of bantering back and forth. You really
seem like avoiding the big elephant in the room. I mean, I get the idea, but like to have Barack Obama and not.
Well, the thing is, the conversation flows so beautifully and so naturally that at no point do you ever think they're avoiding something. It feels like
it's effortless.
Yeah, it really is an organic conversation that just these two people have. And I mean, at some point they do touch a little bit here and there about what's going on in the world, but it really is just about Barack and about his growing up and this and that. And it really made me think that it's a show that I would watch much more than maybe Chelsea Handler or, you know, some of the other shows that are on there now.
But didn't you feel that David Letterman actually softened up once he had the child?
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
They talk a little bit. He talks about raising his child, and they talk a little bit about, you know, I really can't talk about it enough. It's just.
Does he still have the shaggy white beard?
He does.
Do you like that?
No, I don't. Like, in fact, because and Barack made fun of it a lot, and I can't remember what his joke was, but he was saying about how I can't. But I don't know. I guess that's it. I'm sick. I'm dying. I can't. I don't have anything else to say. I thought I had a lot to talk about.
We're near a window.
I know. I thought I had a lot to talk about, but it's fascinating just to see David has mellowed. It seemed to me that before he was always sort of weird for the sake of being weird, and he was cranky. And
but for years he was doing that on his show, and then it's kind of like you get your shtick and you're stuck with it. But I think now this different.
Yeah,
format,
now he's coming to this with a whole different attitude.
That's great.
And he's a much more interesting person than I gave him credit for.
And
no Paul Schaefer?
Right.
No.
Oh, thank God.
No band.
No band.
format.
No commercials.
No
No
top
nothing.
10.
Wow, that's
no,
great.
it
No
literally
silly
is
pets.
just these two people sitting in front of an audience, and they're just chatting in easy chairs. And
I love it. I'm excited. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
All right. So number 666.
Yeah.
For you.
Number 6.
Well, number 6. Actually, I just wrote a book. Well, here we go. I don't know if they're going to turn it into a movie, but it was one of those things where HarperCollins, it's a brilliant distributor, and they were like, "We would love to do a book with you." And about 2 years ago, they said, "We have this idea," and I'm like, "No one wants to hear a sad drag queen story," and I'm like, "I don't want to talk about myself," so I decided to do a self-help book and give advice to people, because when you have an issue, come to me.
All right.
So it's called Blame It On Bianca, and it's called The Expert on Nothing with an Opinion on Everything. So
I love it.
People wrote in and asked me everything from drag
Wait,
to day-to-day life.
so These are real questions.
These are real
They're
questions.
real people. It's not
Yes.
you just sitting there pretending to be Judy from Tanuka.
No, well, thanks for social media. I was able to do it through Twitter and through my email and through my Facebook fan page. I would say any question you would want to ask. I mean, a lot of them are, what's RuPaul like? I'm like, well, she's not real. She's a hologram. But some of the other stuff was pretty fascinating, because some people are freaky fucking people. The suicide rate's going to go up, but it was just what I thought would be an appropriate answer to some of these people's questions.
Did anything really shock you that people wrote in about?
Well, people are just freakish. Like someone asked about clown sex and different.
Have you
things.
ever had clown sex?
I've never had clown. No, I'm not.
I thought you had
into
clown
shit.
sex every time you had sex.
No, but I'm not in drag. I'm not one of those freaks.
Wait, you never had sex in drag?
Hell no.
No.
No, I don't. I wouldn't. It's just too much work.
Well,
There's nothing sexy about me being Bianca.
but
no.
I do have some friends who are drag queens, and I myself have been a club kid, and I do know
you've been on
you
LSD with mirrors
but
on
I
your
do
face.
know there have
Did
been
you get
ti-
more dick with that way?
No,
Is it?
but there have
Walking in
been
cars.
times when someone comes home and then they go into your apartment and they go into your bedroom, and all of a sudden they start seeing all the sequins and the wigs, and they're sort of like, what have I gotten myself
Wait,
into?
is that a turn on or a turn off?
That's what I'm asking. Sometimes it's been a turn off for some people that I know.
Well, I think now people kind of know who you. I mean, well, thanks to Drag Race, everybody knows what you look like out of drag. So
Right,
they
that's
figure it
true.
out. I mean, a majority of the time when I had Grindr for a hot minute, everybody would send me things like, "Not today, Satan," or "How do I look in drag? Ooh, can I borrow
Right,
your
right.
dress?" That's kind of annoying. But I had a
Well, it's
great,
a turn off a little bit too, right?
completely. Yeah, they're interested in the idea of you. But one of my favorite stories is my friend, Sherry Vine, who's an absolute hoot. Well, she's one of those people. She loves to have sex with guys in drag, and she was out at a club one night, and this hot this Latin boy was a dancer, and he went up to her and he's like, "Hey, let's get it on." And so she's like, "I went back to my apartment," she goes, "and I put on my lingerie, and I came out of my room with my wig on and my lingerie and my heels." And he looked at me and said, "Take off your shoes." And she's like, "What?" He goes, "Take off your shoes." And she's like, "Well, what do you want to do?" He goes, "I want to lick your feet." She goes, "Lick my hole. It's cleaner than my toes." And I thought that she promised me not to tell anybody, but now I use it as an introduction.
It's just between us.
Yeah, it's like the girl with a hole that's cleaner than her toes. But I kind of thought that's interesting. But people are freaks, and so in the book, I just give the best advice possible.
Now, did you learn anything about yourself while writing the book?
Hell no, I was cackling. I was just writing hateful shit because it was funny.
And how long did it take you to write the book?
Well, that's what planes are for, with travel. So it took about maybe 6 months to kind of format it. And then, of course, it went to the editors, and a lot of stuff, they're like, "You cannot say this." But
everything you've just told us, I imagine.
no, but it had to be funny. I thought no one cares to hear a drag queen story.
It's true.
And I thought, let's just make it fun and amusing. And you get asked a lot of questions about stupid shit. People are fascinated with drag, and people are also fascinated with just a response. And I
Now,
think
but you also find that as you're writing these responses, that you are inadvertently telling your story, and you are talking about yourself more than.
Yes
and
and
did we
no.
learn anything about Bianca that probably we didn't know?
that I'm a cunt, but no. I think
We
it's
knew.
well, hello. I think it's just important to keep it funny, and that's the point. I mean, don't take it seriously. But the disclaimer in the beginning was basically just saying, I do have an opinion on everything, but I'm no better than Dr. Phil. I mean, he doesn't have any degrees, and he's telling people what to do with their lives.
And
so
he's
why
full of
can't
crap.
I? He's full of shit.
Yeah.
And a millionaire. So yeah, I thought it'd be fun.
I bet soon we'll have Bianca's self-help show on TV.
We
It's
should.
a
Oh my
syndicated
God!
show. I can see
Please,
that.
let's get rid of Dr. Phil and replace it with
Let's
Dr.
do it.
Bianca. So when does it come out?
It comes out actually in the end of May. In the end of May, it comes
Oh,
out.
that's fast. That's
Yeah,
a
it's all
fast
happening-
turnaround.
Yeah, it's happening. It's all happening at the same time. The movie, that, and
And
the
is
tour.
it so a little bit like where you have about 400 pages of pictures as well?
Well, we did some photos. I actually had, you know me, I hate photo shoots. I use the same photo everywhere I could possibly. I'm like Rue. I'm like, can you change the color of the dress? I don't want to be getting drag again. But we did a lot of stuff where we did a lot of funny photos for the book, not necessarily, none of my life or none of that kind of madness. We kind of staged photos to make it a lot more entertaining.
You with glasses on,
Yeah, like me at the beach in a bikini reading a book called Suicide for Dummies. That kind of a thing where it was enjoyable. And actually, Tom Campbell makes a cameo as one of my elderly boyfriends in the book. Yeah.
Can't wait to read that.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Fabulous,
fun.
yes.
The library's open.
Oh, trust me, it is. But it's nothing scathing about anybody else. It's just, I mean, the worst things I say are to myself or to the people that need help. I mean, that's what it is.
Number 5.
So number 5, I watched this week the new Ryan Murphy series, not Versace, which is airing this week.
Soon.
This week, not Versace, but actually 911.
What is that?
Okay, so
I
it's
didn't realize that was Ryan Murphy.
yeah, it's
With Angela Bassett.
with Brad Falchuk. Yes, right, Brad Falchuk.
He's turning into Tyler Perry. I mean, how
I
much
know,
shit is
everything.
he doing?
It's like basically Fox is his personal network at this
Yeah.
point. But it's actually a really cool concept. So it's 911, what's your emergency?
Okay.
So every show begins with what's your emergency? And there's an emergency, right?
Well, that helps.
I haven't told you anything that you wouldn't surmise already. And so the first responders rush off, the firemen, the police, whatever.
This is like the emergency show in
they
the
go-
1960s that I was talking about when we first walked in. And nobody knows.
Okay,
Was
well,
there 911 in the 60s? When did 911 start?
911 started
wow.
after the Kitty Genovese story.
oh, really?
Yeah, it was because of Kitty Genovese, the woman who was murdered, and
yeah.
28 people listened to her get murdered, and nobody called the police
No.
because everyone thought that someone else would do it. So
Well, that's not what I read.
Oh, wait. Was this the one that was in New York with the apartment building?
Yes.
Yes. I just
yes,
saw a
and it's
documentary
because
about
of that they started doing 911. Why? What do you think?
I read that it was like someone called in and they were like 5th on the queue, and then everyone died because they didn't get there fast
Wait,
enough.
I
a minute.
think
First
no.
of all, you read? No.
Yeah, no, I don't buy that.
It was on Wikipedia.
Oh, okay.
I think you need
oh,
to-
then that's real.
Well, I will go to Kitty Genovese's story, and we will find out.
That is a
okay.
fascinating documentary. I just saw that recently.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Okay.
back to you,
Back
Fans.
to
We're
you.
terribly sorry.
Well, it actually was
Emergency.
going to be the question at the end of this part.
Oh,
when was
sorry.
911 invented? But
Wah,
that's
wah.
okay. You still haven't got the answer right. So,
that's not true. I
and
guarantee.
put down your phone, James.
uh,
James.
She's sick.
I know. Put down the.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okay, continue.
No, she's cheating.
Of course she's
James,
cheating.
no,
Because I know this for a fact. I've done stories about this. I know what I'm talking. I know
She's
where
an
I speak.
author.
Okay, so it's Angela Bassett, and she plays
love
an
Angela.
LAPD patrol sergeant who is married to a gay man.
Oh.
It sort of begins with James.
She's got trouble.
It begins with him coming out, and yes, it's just a nightmare family.
Okay.
What?
So was that her emergency?
She has an emergency because her daughter overdoses on pills in episode
from
2.
the CIA. Yeah.
And Brad Falchuk, who's worked with Ryan Murphy on Glee, American Horror Story,
Yeah.
Scream. He's Gwyneth Paltrow's boyfriend.
Well,
Oh,
they're
the
And
new
they're
one?
engaged.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And have you seen the posters? The poster is like a what do they call? Ferris wheel. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. And a guy's hanging upside down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the emergency. Like
Oh,
they go
wow.
on a roller coaster. And the first episode was like a teenage girl gives birth to a baby, flushes it down the loo, and the baby gets stuck in the pipes.
Who hasn't done that?
Isn't that horrible?
Oh,
I was like,
no.
I don't know if I should be watching this.
Sounds like
With
China.
Nolan.
Yeah.
And they rush over to the apartment, and they got to stop everybody flushing the loo, because
Okay.
if anybody flushes the loo in the apartment,
The baby could.
the baby will drown.
But wait, the baby isn't drowning in the.
Apparently not. The baby was stuck in the pipe, and they managed to get there. I don't want to ruin it for you. This was episode 1.
Yeah.
They get there in time to get the baby out.
And what's Angela Bassett doing?
She's like, just being sort of.
Is she the 911 operator? Or is she
No.
Or is she the one? She's not the dispatcher.
If
she
you
shows
weren't
up.
on your phone,
Yeah.
you would know, because I told you that she's an LAPD patrol sergeant.
So she gets called to the site. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
But it also
and
explores.
she's got a gay husband. Did you hear that bit?
Yes.
But it explores her life, or is it just?
Well, it's sort of like everything. They have like 2 or 3 emergencies per show, and then they're sort of also following the first responders and their own lives. Like,
Gotcha.
Connie Britton plays the person who tends to answer the phone.
Okay.
Like, I guess if you call 911, you just get the same person.
Yeah.
And she's always like very sympathetic, and she wants to date the fireman, and the fireman has a freak out because he doesn't save someone on the Ferris wheel who
Yeah.
plunges to their death.
So it's more than one emergency happening at the same time.
Yes.
Oh,
So it's
that's
their
genius.
lives, and then you're getting this sort of whole what's the word?
Hysteria?
Yes,
Madness?
yes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very, very tense. It's a little bit like what was that emergency room?
She was called
Oh,
emergency.
no,
there
the
was
one
also
with,
the Halle Berry. Remember, she was the
Oh.
911 operator in a movie recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I will tell you
didn't
though
see
that
it.
next week's episode it says Bobby and his team respond to an emergency at a children's birthday party that leaves lives hanging in the balance.
Oh my
So that's sure to be scary.
Killer Clowns.
Oh, hey, they're coming for my gig.
911 is on Wednesdays, 9 p.m. on Fox. So here's the question. Okay, we've got to take a break.
Oh, she's on her phone. What'd you find?
Question is...
History of 911.
When was
Correct.
it first invented?
History of 911.
Okay, we got to take a break. Radio Andy, SiriusXM, you're listening to The Wow Report. We'll be right back, and I guess James will have the answer because he cheated.
No, I didn't have to
You were
cheat. I was
cheater.
the one who was telling you
Cheater.
all along.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Welcome back to The Wow Report, our countdown of the top 10 things that made us go,
Wow.
This week, I'm Fenner Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, here with James and James.
Who's a cheater?
I know.
No, I don't have to cheat.
And our amazing mystery guest, no longer mystery, of course, Bianca Del Rio.
Not with this voice.
Okay, so
Okay, so
here,
talk.
question was, when was 911 invented?
Well,
James.
according to PBS, The History of 911, a TV series, it started with because of the the brief history of Kitty Genovese case.
Yes.
An iconic murder. Says WNYC helped create the NY11 system. HuffPost says this murder is the reason you can call 911.
Yeah, but why do you answer the question? When was it invented?
It was invented after the Kitty Genovese
Which was
story
what?
in
And it's
1964.
It's a brilliant documentary. I just saw it. It was her. It was based. Her brother is trying to find out the truth. Yeah.
Yes,
And he kind of reenacts everything. It's very
Oh,
sad.
James was right.
See. Oh,
Wait, what do you say? Why were you saying that I was wrong?
No, you're right.
yeah.
You
It's a
found
brilliant.
it.
It's a brilliant documentary. I don't remember the name of it, but
Okay.
I did catch it.
I was just saying I thought it was those 5 people, but
Okay,
apparently
then,
not.
if you're so knowledgeable, James, about this, why the numbers 911?
Tell us.
Come on.
Come on, Miss Fast Fingers.
Well, simply put, James, the phone number 911 is easy to remember.
Does it predate 411?
And can be dialed relatively quickly,
Okay.
given the few digits. Very important in old-style rotary phones. Because here's the thing, in England,
Yes.
we had 999, and
Yeah.
we started with that. In 1937. But you put it in. You'd have to put your finger in.
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
9. It'd take a long time. So
Yeah.
9, okay, and then 11. It doesn't. It's much quicker.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Now, but
travels
tell me
less
a little bit. Do you know
distance.
what 311 and 611 are?
Oh, I don't know.
No.
411's information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
I
that.
thought it was drugs.
311 is for like city stuff, right?
Yes.
City what? Like complaining?
Like no one picked
Like,
my
you
burst
got,
trash
pipe.
up.
like you got a baby in your
A
toilet?
fire hydrant. No,
Okay.
a fire hydrant is exploded or something.
Oh,
Which
okay.
one? 3?
I think that's 311.
311, yeah.
That's a little specific.
I don't know what 611
What's
is.
611?
What's 611?
Well, hold on. Let's find
Oh,
out.
well, we can all do that. Really? Do
Well,
your
James-
research.
We've got to your number 4, James. What's number 4 for you?
Hold on, we've got all the time.
Oh, she's going 611.
Number 4.
Oh, 611 is how to pay for your phone bill.
611? Is that your Oh, is that through AT&T? Like when you Oh, okay.
James, number 4.
What is number 4?
Banking
Oh, dear God.
on Bitcoin.
Okay, this is
Bitcoin.
another documentary that I watched, but I did this one like 3 weeks ago, and you refused to let me do it the other week.
No, you were supposed to be doing
victim,
something
victim.
else.
Come on.
No,
Oh,
it's true.
get with the
it was-
program.
I was
Banking
fresh in my
on-
head, and now I have absolutely no idea what this was. It was a documentary about Bitcoins. Do you know about Bitcoins?
No, I don't.
Well,
Should I Google it while you're talking?
no, but okay, Bitcoins are a cryptocurrency.
Okay.
Which means that it's all the rage right now. Am I correct?
It's
Yeah.
the
all
rage.
the rage.
It's true.
It's true. It is. A couple years ago, you could have bought into it for like $1 for $5. Now it was $30,000
Something
for
like that.
for a Bitcoin. It's something you can only use on the internet.
Okay.
You can't use it on. You cannot get a coin.
Is it like a gift card?
Is
Like credit?
kind of, but it's a chain. It's a chain
Feels like
currency.
a game. Is it right? Blockchain.
It's blockchain currency, which means that every
get it.
step along the way, you can account for where this is being spent and how it's being spent. So
and
there's
why does that make it so safe and secure? Or so?
Well,
I don't get it.
I don't either.
okay. The The thing that happened with it is there was a thing called Spice Road or Silk Road.
Oh, Silk Road,
The
right.
Silk Road, right, which is where everyone was buying, guns and drugs
Heroin.
and children, and they were selling, state secrets, and it was this whole big underground illegal thing, and people were using Bitcoins to buy and sell their. That's how I was
It
getting
was
my.
a way you could use the money, but it could never be traced back to you.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Because it's all you never know who is using it.
All right.
Right. So
Mystery money.
it's
Right.
mystery money. Yes. But. Let's see.
Literature.
In simplest terms, Bitcoins is a virtual currency that exists entirely online. You can send and receive Bitcoins in the same way you Venmo your roommate beer money. Its main innovation is the blockchain, a ledger of every transaction that's shared across the world in a peer-to-peer network. Because Bitcoin accounts aren't tied to names and transactions are encrypted, hence the term cryptocurrency, the money can be used anonymously, which means it can be used both for good and for
So
bad.
it's always tracked, but it's never tracked to an individual.
Exactly. But at the same time, the decentralized blockchain allows Bitcoins to ensure that money isn't counterfeit without the need of backing of any government, banking institution, or centralized authority.
So how do you get it?
Right. I mean, how do you buy
Do you
it?
sign up for it?
Where do you pay the cash?
Well, you
Where do you
can't.
send your money?
You can buy. I mean, of course, now none of us can afford it except for maybe Fenton.
Yeah.
Where,
You don't know.
well,
Well,
yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't.
I guess your
But
movie's not doing that good, is it?
But now, after last month, they said that it's sort of like the tulip craze in the 16th century
Right.
in Holland, where all of a
The
sudden
bubble.
it's a bubble that's been created because, like I said, it started off at like $3. Now it is $30,000 for a Bitcoin, which you can never feel or touch or
Okay,
anything.
this sounds like white people shit.
But how do you
I don't
check
understand
exactly?
this.
How do you?
Well, because
Okay, you can
there
buy
is-
in, but how do you?
There's a
sell-
market. There's
Cash
like
out.
there's a market. Well, you don't ever cash out. You just have to sell it to someone else. You just have to.
But
you just have
that's
to
like-
spend it all on something.
Oh, so it's not real money then?
No,
So you can't like take your Bitcoin
No, you can
wealth and go buy a house.
No, well, that's just it, though. Now, all of a sudden, I've noticed in San Francisco, in New York, there are real estate people who are saying that
You'll
they
take
will
Bitcoins.
only sell through Bitcoins.
I don't
crazy.
get
But
this.
the beauty of this,
Right.
is that it will be a global currency. We won't have any other dollars and dineros and,
Right.
and rubies and rubles and all that stuff.
Right.
Rubies and
I
rubles.
mean, in a sense, already money isn't tied to the gold standard, right? Which means you can't exchange your paper money for a piece of gold. So already, paper money is a kind of virtual. Not a virtual.
It
it's
will
an-
make it
it's-
all obsolete,
Right.
but it also, I was talking to my Uber driver about this the other day, who has started buying into it, he said.
Did you use a Bitcoin for the Uber driver?
I did not.
Oh.
But he was saying that eventually it means that there will be no more governments. It will bring down everything
Oh, we'll see about
around
that.
it
Okay.
because there will be the government is just there to set the standard for money and to deal with money and I don't know. He had this whole big thing about how everything is going to come
And
crashing
there's-
around.
what's to stop anybody starting a cryptocurrency, right?
Well,
'Cause
if you
there's-
watch the documentary, it's sort of interesting because the way they built it is in a way that can never be duplicated again, and nobody else can ever have. There can never be any other cryptocurrency other
Oh,
than Bitcoin.
Really?
Oh.
And the guy
There's
who
only 21 million bitcoins.
yeah,
right?
that's
It's a
just it.
finite
They've
amount.
created a finite amount of bitcoins,
Okay.
and there can never be any more
Yeah.
or any less.
And they also don't know who created it.
That's the thing. The guy
Shrouded in
named
This
mystery.
is tricky.
yeah,
I
the
don't
guy
trust
whose
this.
name
I
is
know, don't.
No.
Keep your money under the mattress.
Hello?
No. The guy whose name they think created it, his name is Satoshi Nakamoto.
Oh.
But
there
disappeared
is-
like your
He
agent.
disappeared.
Sounds like trouble.
There is no record of him ever being born. There is no record of him ever dying. There's no record of this man ever existing. And so they have all these theories. And the Winklevoss twins were somehow involved in creating this.
I know,
And
it's
it
like-
becomes this whole big interesting thing where the government is trying to stop it, and yet there's no way to stop it. It's a fascinating documentary. And even if I didn't do my best to trying to describe what it was or what it is not, you should watch it, because what happened last month when it suddenly it started fluctuating and it went up to $30,000
Yeah.
like out of the blue,
Yeah.
where you start to realize, hey, maybe this is something that we should all start to know about.
Well, inspired by that, I bought the book yesterday, Bitcoin for Dummies.
Oh, really?
Right,
Okay.
So I'm hoping it arrives and enlightens me, because I still don't
I don't
completely
get it.
understand it.
I don't
Well,
get it.
the thing that frustrates, that I don't get the most, I'm sorry, is the fact that there is only this finite amount,
Yeah.
and that there can never be any more than that. So you what you buy into and how much you can get out of it is,
Right.
It's fascinating, but it sounds like white people problems. I don't understand it.
well,
It's on Netflix, Banking on
Yeah.
Bitcoin. I don't think they explain it completely. But anyway.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Ah!
Bianca.
Well, back to me again.
Yes.
Oh, how convenient this works out. Actually, I'm starting at the end of February my new tour, which is called Blame It On Bianca. I'm doing 42 cities in the U.S.
Wow.
no, wait, no, you buried the lead right there.
What?
Blame it on Bianca Del Rio, like blame it on Rio.
Yes, well,
that's
actually,
the joke.
Well, you know where it came from was from Ru. Because Ru would say it every episode. Blame it on Bianca Del Rio. So,
which is an old movie from the 1940s with Carmen.
Miranda.
Actually, your tours have brilliant names.
Yeah, well, I've used everything that was from Drag Race. The first one was My Rolodex of Hate. The second one was Not Today's Satan. So this is my third endeavor out into the world. And I started in Amsterdam last year. I did Amsterdam, and then we did Australia, which was quite successful. And then we did Hong Kong and Singapore. And I go to Brazil to start February. And then it's 42 cities in the U.S. and then 18 in the U.K.
Can I just tell you that when you first released your list of everywhere you are,
Yeah.
and it literally is every single night in
Yes.
a different
Yeah.
city for the rest of your life.
Yes.
It is
I feel tired just looking at that.
I
list.
was
Don't you?
exhausted. I
Right?
don't know how you do it.
But I'm not. First of all, I'm not flying the plane, so it's not like that much stress is on you. But I like to work, and honestly, what did I do this opportunity for? I mean, what did I do Drag Race for?
No.
Just sit home and complain? And it's not like I'm getting calls to do Meryl Streep movies. So the best thing to do for me, I prefer, a live audience. I mean,
But
at
it
this
is
point-
it is the next year basically of
Yes.
your life, and it is you are in Delaware, and then you're in Washington D.C., then you're in Philadelphia, and then you're there, and like go up and down the seacoast, and then you go
Yes.
across and then you're back and forth, and you're everywhere. It's exhausting.
Not necessarily, because the great thing about the American tour, and which we figured out last year, which was wonderful, is that I get to travel on my own little Dolly Parton tour bus, which is saves
Oh,
me a
I see.
lot.
So you're not on a plane.
In
Ah.
America, I do it by bus, which is just genius. It's a fabulous
And
setup.
it is the cities are close by relatively,
And it all makes sense. So that when they start the route, I started like last year. I started in Seattle and worked my way down and over, and so it makes it a lot easier. You're not dealing with the airport, and you literally, the way it's set up for me is that you get into a certain city at around noon, and then at 3 p.m. I'm at the theater. I'm getting a drag. 6 p.m. I do a meet and greet. 8 p.m. I do the show. 11 I'm in the shower, back on the bus, asleep. Wake up in the next city. So it really saves a lot of time. You're not dealing with airport and security and all that kind
Do
of
you have
madness.
groupies on the bus?
No, because I don't like people. But it is. Some of my friends will join in on a city or two to come hang out. But it's just the best way to travel, and really, truly, it's the only way to make money nowadays is to actually
but
tour.
you enjoy touring, and
I
you
do.
you enjoy the life on the road and everything.
I like
'cause-
an audience. I
Yeah.
like live people.
I love the fact that every show you take a selfie
Yes.
with you in front of the camera looking back at the audience. It's always the most spectacular
It
show.
is. It's
And
also
you're
the-
like, fuck, there's so many people.
No,
man.
it's
I
insane.
mean, it's like, it's great.
And the great thing is in America, well, like in America and Australia, we have different promoters that we deal with. But in America, AEG deals with it, and it's fascinating because they do everything from like Aerosmith to legitimate acts. And so I'm like the only drag queen they have. And what's been genius about it is that they have theaters all across America. They take care of me very well. And as far as setting it up, it's unbelievable. We're moving into bigger theaters.
What's on your rider?
I'm not fancy. I always ask for a mirror, lights, and vodka. And if you get me the vodka first, I don't need the mirror or the lights. I mean, you've seen my makeup. I'm like a little raccoon.
Well, now tell me how this show differs from the other ones, and how long does it take to write, and what do you do?
Well, you know what? It's not. What's fascinating is, for instance, when I was doing Not Today's Satan, I think we did 93 performances like all over the world. And as you're going through the show is somewhat set. I mean, it's structured, but a lot of other madness is happening in your life. So I've learned just to start writing down other situations, and I'm like, oh, I've got to save it for the next show. So this next one is basically all about me and things that I should be blamed for and things that I've done that I'm not proud of, you know? And you always have to do a disclaimer at the beginning of the show, and I always do it, but I'm like, you know, listen, I'm a bitchy, nasty, snarky drag queen. That's what drag queens are supposed to be, because, you know, if you're a drag queen who's not bitchy, snarky, and hateful, then you're Glenn Close. So the thing is, you just have to make it. It's usually all my fault in situations that happen to me, but it all kind of writes itself. So I have a loose script that I deal with, and then, you know, comedy ensues, moments happen.
And you have interaction, you drag people up on stage?
Yes, yes and no. At the end of the show, I always do a question and answer segment, which I don't look at the questions before, but people can ask me whatever they want. And, you know, usually it ranges from, do you still talk to Laganja? You know, is Michelle nice? You know, all that kind of stuff. Because,
is Michelle nice?
Well, depends on the day. No, I love Michelle. But what's fascinating about it too is with traveling, like for instance, Singapore and Hong Kong, where the show doesn't even air, is that people find it.
Oh,
people
yeah.
find
Yeah.
Drag
They've
Race.
seen the show, right?
Yeah, and it's worked out for me in general because these countries are just getting season 6. So for the past 4.5 years for me, it's just been a new discovery with new places that I go, and it's unbelievable. They haven't caught up yet.
Well, it's coming. Drag Race is coming to Thailand, but we're going to talk about that.
Yes, that's fascinating.
In a minute. So Blame It On Bianca.
Yes, I start in America at the end of February, and I'm doing 42 cities, and then I'll be doing the UK. But for all ticket information, go to thebiancadelrio.com.
Excellent.
Yes.
Number 2.
Well, last night I watched, in the wee hours of morning, suffering from hideous jet lag, I watched the David Bowie documentary, The Last 5 Years.
Wait,
by
yes.
Francis Waitley.
I think I saw this. This is where they interview the band and they interview him recording the last album.
Yes.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Oh my God!
Fascinating.
It's on HBO.
Yes.
And a couple of years ago, actually, just right before he died, I saw this documentary. 5 years, which was like covered sort of Bowie's most productive period, the whole Ziggy Stardust.
I remember that. Yes.
Absolutely fantastic because it's BBC. They have all this archive in house, all this footage you've never seen before. It was an amazing film, and then like 2 days later he died. And this film came out a year after his death. I couldn't believe actually.
Almost
it's
to the
now
day.
2
Time
years.
flies.
It's now 2 years.
It's
He's been dead
insane.
2
Yeah.
years. But it sort of looks at, the making of the last album, Black Star.
Yeah.
And
Which
his-
I think he won a Grammy for, wasn't it? It was highly acclaimed. his
It was
last album.
amazing. It was one of his best albums.
Well,
No, it is. I mean, there's some really good stuff on it.
I mean, what's interesting, I thought, is like, I always love the hits.
Yes.
I love a tune.
Yeah.
I didn't like the sort of,
Artsy shit.
I don't like jazz sounds. And he certainly went off into jazz sounds for the
But that one, the big last video he did,
yeah,
where
yeah.
he revisited
It was
Major
Lazarus,
Tom again.
right? It is
Yeah.
Lazarus, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that was an amazing,
amazing.
video. What's interesting is that we all said, I think, when it happened, he was predicting his death because the album and the video came out 2 days before his death. So this was his very calculated farewell. The director of the video and the producer of the album says no. He thought he was going to live.
Wow.
He knew he was sick, and he told people he was really sick. But
was
he
cancer,
kind of thought
right?
he was going to,
Yeah.
liver cancer.
Oh.
But he really thought he was going to make it.
Wow.
But still, what's interesting about this doc,
And yet, on some level, he probably knew that because there is so
Wow,
much
right.
death imagery and there is so much
Exactly.
like this tying ends up and everything.
it sort of feels not too good to
Yeah.
be true, but just too on the nose. He's in a closet. It's just got
and
so many.
he's just going,
he's in a bed.
at the very end,
He's got
Major
these
Tom is going
bandages.
back up into space for the last
Major
time.
Tom, right, and this person finds Major Tom in a spacesuit. She opens the spacesuit and there's a skeleton inside. I mean, it's all
Yes.
very.
Yeah. I mean,
dying,
you
right?
when
Well,
you're-
you would have
Yeah.
to.
when you're on your way out.
But on a positive note, Iman looks amazing. Have you seen that bitch? She does not age. Talk
she's
about gorgeous.
gorgeous.
I love her.
I mean, what's interesting is they made the film
On a positive,
by.
she's fabulous.
They made the documentary, both documentaries.
He's dead.
by
dead,
not
she looks fierce.
really talking about his personal life at all. It's
Yeah.
just a sort of artistic process. And he talked all about what he did and why he did it.
Yeah.
There's some great stuff about Berlin and Heroes and Sound and Vision.
I do
It's
find
just
that
great.
BBC does better documentaries than most people in America. I have to say. Oh, there's a brilliant documentary off the subject, but there's one about the Queen Elizabeth. Which
Oh,
I'm
oh,
fascinated with.
yes. Oh my God.
Wait, did you see the
What, she's
actual
watching
The
the
documentary?
whole
coronation.
movies?
It's about the coronation.
No,
oh,
the other
that one.
When
Oh.
she's actually watching her home movies, it's the sweetest thing in the world.
Right.
Did you know that in her 91 years, she has never been interviewed ever She's never.
She doesn't have to.
No. She's the queen. Nobody is allowed to interview her. But this is the first time that they have ever filmed her having a conversation.
It's so
They
beautiful.
said it couldn't be called an interview. It could be called a conversation. And you see her
I
actually
love her.
interacting with someone,
She's
and you've
so
never
cute.
seen that before.
I'm sorry, it's about the queen. I see your finger. It's the queen.
Blake is giving us the wrap it up, so let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll reveal the
Yes.
number one thing that made us go, wow. Okay, so here's the question, and this is a clue.
Okay, here we go.
What is Thailand's popular tag name? You know, they say like Florida, the Sunshine State, or, you know.
New Jersey, the Show Me State. Oh, wait, that's Missouri.
New York, a shithole. Yeah, I don't know.
Listening to the Wow Report Radio out of SiriusXM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton. I'm here with Bianca Del Rio and James St. James and Blake. So,
Hello.
we.
That little sad. Hello.
Yeah. So, but we're about to reveal the number one thing, and the clue was like, what is Thailand's popular tag name?
That I don't know.
Come for the lady boys. Stay for the food.
Stay for the drinks.
Stay for the pad thai.
Land of Smiles.
Land of
Thailand is the
Smiles.
land of smiles. And apparently it's not because they're happy. It's because they have 13 different, like Eskimos have the same word for multiple kinds
Yeah.
of snow. They have 13 types of snow. Yeah.
Of smiles?
13 types of smile. There's the nervous apologetic smile. That's good.
As I'm demonstrating.
The polite smile.
Oh.
The inappropriate hidden smile.
Yeah.
The evil smile.
Mm.
The attitude smile.
Yeah.
The smile of hopelessness.
Oh, that's you. Yeah, that is
Anyway, that's
totally
enough
you.
of that. So,
Google that when your face shows up.
number one this week is
Number 1.
RuPaul's Drag Race Thailand.
How insane! Okay, so I saw this on Facebook, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And they're like, "Drag Race set." So explain this to me. What's going on?
The set is amazing. I was
Okay.
just there. I just got back.
Yeah.
And wait, it only took 2 days to build, right?
It's Thailand, girl. They were
They-
smiling the whole time.
They are super fast. And
Yeah.
they work, I mean, there's no union, so they work 24 hours, 7 days
Genius.
a week. They started shooting. They've shot 2 episodes, and it's going to debut February 15th.
So it's
I
the
mean,
same concept,
Same concept.
and
They're
it's no
sticking to the
Ru, but it's
format.
someone else from Thailand.
Exactly.
That's the star.
I mean, the question was, who can replace Ru? Who
Yeah.
could be Ru?
Yeah.
And
Who is who?
no one.
Yeah.
They have 2 hosts.
Oh, okay.
They have a fabulous drag queen called Art.
Okay.
Art Aria, who's been sort of a legend, actually, of the drag scene in Thailand.
All right.
And they also have
coughs at the
they
good
also
parts.
have a drag queen called Pan Pan. So they have 2 hosts.
Okay.
Pan Pan is short for Pangina Heels.
Oh.
She is they're both amazing. And
Okay.
as a double act, it's fantastic.
So do they?
And
Is the whole setup the same? Are they men in the beginning, and they give them the option?
Absolutely, they have the workroom.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
How
How do you say hello in Thailand?
Hello.
Oh, okay.
It translates the same. But Don't Fuck It Up is different.
Yeah.
Why don't you can look it up on Google Translate, James.
Don't fuck it up. So it's the same premise. It's the same setup. Does Ru make an appearance at any point?
I don't have Google.
Not at the moment, or possibly.
Might be making a videotape.
That'd be
appearance.
great.
Yes.
So it's the same thing, and they're going through the ringer, and you have what, 10, 12 contestants?
10 queens.
Have
eight-
you already seen the first
10
episode?
queens, 8 episodes. Saw the taping of the first episode.
And
That's
can
insane.
tell me about some of the queens there. Tell me about the looks and the
queens
difference.
are amazing. I mean, drag. I mean, it feels appropriate that Thailand is the first place to replicate the format because Thailand has such a huge drag culture tradition.
Completely.
I mean, I guess it's more of a ladyboy thing
Yes.
than a drag thing. But these queens, I got to tell you,
So it's not more. It's more sexually
no,
hot,
it is
or is
not.
it?
I mean, I
or
think
is
the
it
whole
gaga?
the intention of doing the show. It's a production company called Cantana, and the son is basically it's his passion project, and he really wants to bring. His name is Parry. He really wants to bring fashion. He wants to sort of bring the drag experience, sort of take it from the ladyboy thing into more the thing we all know and love.
Alt and cultural.
And I tell you, these looks, they were incredible.
That's fabulous.
I mean,
it's
really
quite exciting.
amazing.
Are you guys
looks.
planning to do other countries as well? I
I
know
know
that's a question.
we would
that's-
love that.
That's
Yes,
genius.
of course.
Well, wait, don't we also? I don't know if we can use this part, but isn't there also in Chile or Peru or something already? Don't
No,
they have?
there is a version in Chile. Is
Yeah.
it Chile? How
Is
do you
it-
say Chile?
who knows?
Anyway, but
We
the
call
point
it
is,
child.
it's not really sticking to the format. It's more of a studio.
But is that through you guys as well? Oh, okay.
But it's a very different show, and I
And it's not called Drag Race. It's called.
It's called something Drag Race, but it's called something Drag Race.
Yeah.
I've watched one episode. I can't figure out what's going on. I mean, it's sort of crazy good, but just crazy.
So
but this is the format.
How are
Yeah.
you linked to it? So you guys are producing it, or you basically sell?
We
you
basically
say,
license them the format.
Yeah.
Here's a Bible, and Stephen Korff, showrunner, and
Yes,
I
who we
went
love.
out to sort of make sure they were doing everything. Actually, I mean, it was just a lovely trip, really. And
Yeah,
they
of
were
course.
so welcoming, and they were like, I mean, they have it all under control.
Well,
They
it's the
didn't,
land of
you know,
smiles. I mean, there were some
smiles,
happy
exactly.
motherfuckers.
They
That's
are.
genius. And so, is it going to cross-reference anything that's going on with you guys here? Are they all going to eventually show up here? Do they,
Well,
eventually you're going to run the world here? So, I mean,
well, I mean, drag in Asia, I think, is really on the rise, and it's
drag
kind of,
everywhere
Yes.
is insane. And it's funny because Ru always says, and it was one of the things I disagree with Ru, and I know I'm going to get flack for it, but Ru always says, I never think drag is going to be mainstream. But I'm saying, let me tell you, I traveled the world, and to see the interest and to see the things that are going on is quite fucking unbelievable.
Right.
Is that a fact that drag queens are in people's living rooms and enjoying it, and they're finally realizing that it's not, something sexual, that it just happens to
Right.
be men in drag, and it's entertaining, and that we're actors, and
it's not necessarily about gender either, is
Not
it?
at all.
It's about just sort of taking everything from popular culture and sort of spewing
Completely.
it back out.
I mean, look at Ru winning Emmys, snatching trophies. I mean, I think it's getting mainstream. I mean, in my opinion, it's kind of unreal.
What's exciting is I think in Asia, like LGBT rights have been sort of, I mean, there's gay people everywhere, right? But they've
hello.
been sort of tamped down.
Yeah.
And you feel it's all on the verge of exploding.
Celebrating.
Yes.
That's great. That's
it felt,
fabulous.
the last night I was there, we went to this show, Stranger Bar, and a lot of the queens put on a show. It was just like the Pyramid in the early 80s. It felt like just seeing that kind of excitement, that exuberance, that kind of complete fuck it sense of like, I'm going to put this on, I'm going to put that on, and I'm going to lip sync the most amazing song.
Fabulous.
And, fantastic. So
That's good. Well, I'm excited
And
to see it.
how will we be able to watch it?
Well, that it remains to be seen.
Oh, so they're signing to
But we have some
paperwork.
plans.
Yeah,
We have
all right,
some
all right, all
plans.
right. Yeah.
Hey, that's all we got. This has been fantastic.
It's been lovely.
Thank you so much for joining
Oh,
us.
please, thank you.
Good
It's
luck on your
always
tour. Good luck
Yes.
on
Wait
your
a minute!
tour. Good
No, we are not finished. How dare you?
God,
Let
what
me.
is it now?
There's
know.
more.
What is
Oh.
the James?
There's the Resistor of the Week.
Oh, Resistor of the Week.
Oh,
James.
sorry.
Resistor of the Week.
The Resistor of the Week is some pastor somewhere who said something that
Dr.
Fenton
Maurice
knows.
Watson.
Dr. Maurice Watson.
At the Metropolitan Baptist Church in Largo, Maryland.
Oh, this is the guy. He was up on the pulpit, and Vice President Pence was in the audience,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
and he went on a rampage saying, "By God, that this whole bit about something about them,
Whoever made such a statement, whoever used such a
This
visceral,
shithole country, how-
disrespectful, dehumanizing adjective to characterize the nations of Africa,
Yeah.
whoever said it is wrong, and they ought to be held accountable.
And
Agreed.
looking right in Vice President Pence's face as he said this, and the world was aghast. How dare this, call him out on his bullshit? But by God, he did, and thankfully,
That's someone needs to tell him.
Someone
That's
said
genius.
Pence was nervous as a whore in church.
Wow.
There.
That's fascinating.
Which, of course, you've got to realize that Pence has been getting it from all sides lately. You remember when he signed in, or when he swore
Oh,
in,
side-eye.
and
Side-eye
the,
from
the
the
gay
gay
son.
son.
Yeah, so hopefully.
What a douchebag.
Yeah.
Trixie and Katya Show returns to Viceland January 24th.
Yeah.
And the next day, watch Trixie Mattel with her drag sisters on the premiere of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars.
I'm quite excited.
3,
That's
Very
what, the
exciting,
25th,
yes.
right?
January 25th, 8
25th.
p.m. on VH1. Thanks for tuning in to the WoW Report on Radio Andy, SiriusXM. Listen anytime on the Sirius Radio app or watch anytime on the WoW Report. Same time, same place next week. In the meantime, go out and do something that makes the world go
Wow.
wow.